is a great pleasure for me to address you for the very first time in press briefing in my capacity as Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs in our constitutional state, St. Martin, at this most critical and challenging time in our island's history. At a time where criticism is the status quo, together with my colleagues, the esteemed gentleman you just heard address you, and it was noted yesterday, the youngest Council of Ministers in history, we intend to use this interim period of governing to change this tide of negativity. It is a new day with new hope and very strong, able beginnings. Having found common ground through their belief in putting country first, the National Alliance, the United St. Martin Party, the independent members of Parliament, Rolando Bryson, Luc Mercelina, and Chanel Brownbill, have a vision towards stability and are currently working on creating an interim governing program for this period, 2019-2020. Even though it's a short period, we must have a vision board. This government, supported by that coalition, takes office at a time of unacceptable levels of socio-economic and environmental deterioration, and it will take all the necessary steps, together with the population, to stop the deterioration of this country. By accepting this formation assignment as formateur and now Prime Minister, and as we have pledged, we will be carrying out the 5 points as were stipulated by His Excellency Governor E.B. Holliday. We talked at length about those points yesterday, so I won't see any need to repeat them all at this point. But know that, even as a member of Parliament, before this government fell, I was working on a budget amendment that would see funds that had been allocated in 2019 budget and approved by the then majority to go towards a host of consultants. Some of those funds, about $1 million and change, have been redirected in a budget amendment by then MP Sylveria Jacobs and handed into Parliament on Monday morning. Those changes will see, just as my colleague and the now Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, more funds being directed towards the youth of St. Martin. And what a great day it is to be announcing this here, as today is the International Day for the Rights of Children all around the world, the United Nations celebration. And we must not ever forget, both Minister Arian and I just left the celebratory ceremony by the ministry being held together with the French counterparts, where children from the island of St. Martin, Dutch and French, one island, coming together not only on St. Martin Day as people think, but even in these occasions to celebrate our children, to celebrate what is now being, for this year, ready, set, protect. And we know that on St. Martin, the laws are there to protect our children. And we know that we are ready to protect our children. But sometimes we see that we have very big gaps and holes in being able to carry out and execute that in the interest of the rights of all these children. As such, I really feel that we need to focus in this short period on what is really lacking, for instance, in the areas of the Voogdijraad, where the rights of children whose parents fall short, they are the ones that have to pick it up. I have personally witnessed and have heard some horror stories in the past few months of children out of school, of children who are walking the streets, of children who are lacking guidance, or children with serious social and emotional behavioral problems that cannot be addressed on a day-to-day basis in our schools. And that is why it is so important that we spend the money on our children. Without a strong foundation of our youth, without a strong support and protection of these that we want to continue to cliche as the future of St. Martin, we will have no future. So today, with this Council of Ministers, this very youthful Council of Ministers, I pledge to put the youth first.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Okay, what we have done until now is we provided an email to the head of the Division for Labor Affairs and Social Services asking for an update. We know that based on the documents that Ms. Arundel showed us, that there was a hearing based on a complaint that she filed since September last year. The hearing took place in January the 11th, and I don't know what came out of that hearing, so we have asked the head of the division to provide us with an update. Since this is Ms. Arundel that has asked us to mediate, we have offered also our assistance if there is anything needed still for her to get her doctor card, to inform us about that, and we will assist the lady so that she can get her doctor card.
Melvina Arundel, Aruba.
Well, we are right here on the land that was provided to you in the past. Who gave you this piece of land?
Hippolyte Richardson.
And since when are you living here?
From 94.
Okay. Government is saying that you cannot prove that you live here. But we just saw what has been left, your container where you was living in. When did you bring the container here, and since when you was living in this container?
I brought that container from 94.
Mm-hmm. And since then you was living?
I was living here.
Okay. After Louis, you went to the shelter?
No, after Irma, I went to the shelter.
Okay. And when you came back?
The container was pushed against the wall and mashed up.
Right. But you're still living here?
Yes.
So we're standing right in front of that piece where you are right now living. And you're living there together with?
A fellow that I put there. His name is Junior.
Okay. Here is where you sleep every night?
Yes, sir.
That the arguments that even the ombudsman was informed about was not appropriate. We will detail about that because everyone has the right to access the highest available level of health care in the state, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. What is happening here is not only happening with Ms. Arendelle, there are more people that are being refused the doctor card. And when we see what is the argumentation that was presented to the Ombudsman to refuse people the right to access to medical care, because you can have a right, but if you can't pay for that right, then it is the government that has to step in and assist you to get that right.
Well, Miss Dross say that I don't live here. Miss Dross never come here. She sent Eric, and Eric meet me here already.
Mm-hmm. So how to prove that you live here?
You come and see where I live to show them.
Yeah. And what they asked you to prove that you are living here?
Oh, I have to bring GB letter from Light or Water. Mm-hmm. And they had asked me to bring a census paper, but I brought it, and she said, that don't prove that I live there. Mm-hmm. I get my mail here. All the postmen know me.
Mm-hmm. Now you need medical attention urgently for your arm. Tell us about that arm. Show us that arm.
This arm was broken. I fell down on the front side, and the arm was broken. I had to go to the hospital on the front side with it. Mm-hmm. To get it checked. I need to make an operation. That's since August. Mm-hmm. And sometimes these 3 fingers goes numb. Mm-hmm. You know, these 3 just go numb. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're going to operate on it still because it's been a long time.
Yeah. You cannot pay for that surgery?
No.
How much is your old age pension?
The pension is 956 guilders.
And so
that is over the years I get that. I used to get less.
Yeah. How long are you already asking government to assist with the PP card?
Oh, since I left Mullet Bay, and then I stopped, and now I start again because, everything get more expensive.
Here in St. Martin, the legislation is saying that if you have less than 1,500 guilders income, then you can apply for a doctor card. But then there come all kind of, I call it, technical arguments. For instance, in the case of the lady, the fact that she is registered is not sufficient proof for them to see that she's still alive and to see that she cannot afford to pay their bills. But they say she has to present GB bill, water bill, electricity bill. She has to prove that she is living here. But none of them came to sleep in the same conditions as she is, because you could see what is the living condition since after Irma. What is the help that she get? Instead of refusing her, what is the help that she get? And this is what we say is the clearest example of abuse. Why? Because instead of helping the people, you see that they are in a social situation, in a social need. Their housing situation is inadequate. She cannot access medical services. Her old age pension is not enough. What are you doing to support her where she has been supporting the St. Martin economy for 47 years, where she has been paying her taxes, she has been also paying her premiums. Now that she needs that support with this urgent situation of the fall that she did, she can't get it because of a technicality, because they say she has to prove that she is living here.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
It is a huge demoralizing factor on many fronts, and I have to be very frank. And I'm going to be very frank. I'm not going to speak to you as a politician, and I hope I have not been speaking to you as a politician, but I want to speak to you as frank as I can. At the end of the day, as a people, we cannot blame nobody else but ourselves. My son is a reflection of me. What I have instilled in my son, when he walks out on our road, it should reflect me. When you look at your members of parliament, you look at the governments of the past, from 10 and all the issues that has happened, that is a reflection of our people. We vote for people to go to office, Mr. Ricardo, that has absolutely no qualifications. Be very frank, absolutely no qualifications. You would not hire a plumber to do a carpenter's job. Why are we hiring non-legislators, people who do not speak or talk about legislation to be able to make your life better? Why do we put them in office? Why do we reward sitting members of parliament for another 4 years to collect another 10 grand who has not brought one legislation to the people of St. Martin? And not just bring any frivolous legislation, because there's a lot of legislations going around. But how has that legislation make sure that your life has improved? You must see some type of improvement with your elected officials every 4 years when they come out of office. It cannot be that every 4 years you are worse off or you are the same state that you're in. Then something is wrong. So as much as people can be upset that we have so many government that fell, and so many times we have to go through elections, these are growing pains that hopefully will wake our people up to realize, I must put somebody in there that one, when they speak to me and they come at my house and my doorstep and knock at my door, they must tell me legislatively how are they going to improve my life. 2, I must see a sincerity and a willingness of that person to never compromise. The problem we are facing in St. Martin is this. We have become so comfortable. We have not moved away from the party system. We have not moved away from, you know what, because he's my brother, because he's my cousin, because he's my aunt, my uncle, my good friend, I have to vote for him. I tell people all the time, Mr. Ricardo, do not vote for me because you're my family member. Don't vote for me because you're my friend. Vote for me and entrust to me because of my track record as a legislator. And that is something that if we stop for a moment as a people and say, as Michael Jackson said, it starts with that man in the mirror. And look at ourselves and say, am I choosing the right person for the job? It doesn't matter if I like them or not, but are they capable to make my life better? And look, if you vote for somebody and they get in office and they have not performed, are you going to reward them again? No, you find somebody else. But at the end of the day, you must find somebody to take care of those things. So, you have your business, you have an accounting, you have an accounting department, you have an opening in your accounting department. Somebody comes to you and say, man, I'm the best accountant in the world. I have been doing this for years. I know what you need to do to finish to balance your books. And you hire that individual. And you find that person, instead of doing the accounting job, they're answering the phone. You find yourself in the red all the time. Are you going to reward that person by giving them a bonus? Are you going to reward that person by destroying your company, an extension on their contract? No. Why then are we allowing sitting members of parliament another opportunity to continue to destroy this country and to destroy our lives? So we must ask ourselves, just like that business owner, if you are not performing as my accountant and I am in red all the time, then I will fire you and find another accountant to do the job. And that is what we must look for in St. Martin. Look for persons who care about lifting you out of poverty, not by speak, but by bringing legislation for you. We're not running for executive position. We're not running to be ministers, to act and to do things that you can feel it quicker. We are running to be legislators, to sit down and look at laws to say, how can we improve our people? And that is why, Mr. Ricardo, we are bringing this law amendment to be able to lift our people out of poverty and to force government and to back them up in a corner that they must act now. Enough of the time of governments have been giving us conversations and sweet talks. Now is the time for them to work, and I guarantee everybody who is listening by the sound of my voice that once elected in office, I will make sure be a thorn in every minister's flesh until our people receive some type of relief, until our mothers don't have to get up in the morning so early to wipe floors and sweep and make up beds and clean windows, until our fathers don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs anymore just to be able to make ends meet, and they can't be home to be fathers and role models for their children, until our elderly can feel that retirement is a place of utopia, a place of joy instead of a place of horror. Until all of that is done, I will constantly be in their back. And that is my dedication, that is my commitment in the past, as I have done as a member of parliament, and that is also my commitment going forward on my first day in office.
As said before, we will now go over to the explanation. According to Article 38 and 39 of the Constitution, the ministers together form the Council of Ministers. The Council, as you just witnessed, signed the national decree which outlines specifically which minister replaces whom. In the event that a particular minister is absent, the so-called vervangingsregeling, absence of a minister can, for example, be related to business travel or vacation, as well as sick leave. The current national decree is outlined as follows. The Prime Minister, Minister of General Affairs, myself, will be replaced by Mr. Christopher Waver, who is the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure. The Minister of Finance, to my right, your left, Mr. Artwell Irion, will be replaced by myself, Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs. The Minister of Justice, to my far left, your right, Mr. Egbert Doran, will be replaced by Mr. Christopher Waver, who is the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure. The Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport is currently not yet appointed, and Mr. Artwell Irion, who is the Minister of Finance, will be acting Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport. The Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor Affairs is also not yet appointed, and Mr. Egbert Duran, who is the Minister of Justice, will be acting Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor Affairs. The Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication, Mr. Rene Vailinas, will be replaced by Minister Artwell Irion, who is the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, Mr. Christopher Waver, will be replaced by Mr. Rene Vailinas, who is the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunications. I know that may have been confusing to you, but we understand.